Yum, yum!
Hi everybody, my name is Sylvain and I would like to tell you a little bit more about the use I do of the kit for After Effects and Modo. This kit exists since a very long time now, maybe 10 years or something like this. So the idea is to try to make a rig between Modo and After Effects, try to drive most of it only from the Modo side to avoid going back and forth from application and doing modification on one side and then have to change something on the other side. The idea is to get all driven by Modo. So the little scene I set up a few years ago to demonstrate this is this. It's inspired by Star Wars, which I'm a fan of. And the idea is to composite a lot of different stuff, like, for example, the laser light shooting the explosion, the location of the explosion, and on the HUD inside the spaceship, having some controls directly driven by locators from Modo. And this is probably something that nobody knows about, that you can import values directly from channels in Modo. Like the target distance, for example, is computed into Modo and then exported through the I/O kit directly to After Effects. So first off, for those who don't know where to find out, you just have to go to the Foundry website, Products, Modo, then you choose Tools, Add-ons, and you should find it somewhere here, Modo After Effects O Bridge. And this bridge is very cool. It's not live, it's not dynamic, but you can do many interesting with it. Essentially, it was made for importing camera paths and from Modo to After Effects, and even export camera paths from After Effects to Modo for camera tracking and stuff like this. And this is not really what I will talk about. I'm mostly talking about exporting stuff from Modo and importing and drive them with After Effects. So that said, let's talk a little bit about the build-up. Okay, so this is my portion of a Death Star or something like this. So it's just a plane with a lot of quads. Then I have a lot of, I will show you there, display this, different parts that I can replicate on the surface. And once replicated, it gives something like that. And if I show you, so this is a Death Star. Then I have a spaceship, which is this one. It's also downloaded from Sketchfab or maybe a free model from TurboSquid. I don't remember, it's very old. Then I have a pass. This is the pass for the spaceship. It's animated, so you see the spaceship going from here and going into the tranchee and then getting out. Okay? What else? We have a Death Star, we have a spaceship, and I think that's enough. I have also set up a different camera, an onboard camera. I will show you that here. The onboard camera is inside the spaceship. There is a fixed camera that is targeting the spaceship, almost, and a follow camera. That is a camera that inside the Death Star and is targeting also the spaceship when it gets out of it. And this is it. So, of course, I render the animation to get it After Effects. Simple render in JPEG or PNG or something like this. No, nothing fancy. No Cryptomate. It wasn't existing at this time, Cryptomate. I don't remember when I did this. It was not possible. But whatever, I don't need it. So now I have all this camera, and if I select the render camera, you will see that the rendering camera is also changing. It's like if I do the edit of the movie, of the sequence, directly inside Modo, because I don't want to render frames that I don't use. So I will first cut my scene into the different shots I really need, with the duration I need. And then at render time, it will render maybe 300 frames, but it can switch from one camera to the other and just render the frames I need. Then if we go to After Effects and see the render is, so this is basically the rendered frames only. And on top of this, if I unhide all the hidden layers, I can add the laser beam. There is an effect in After Effects to do this. Then we have the explosion. So you can, okay, I have to set up my camera first. So the imported stuff from the I/O plugin are basically the 3 cameras that you have to recut depending on the rendering you've done. So here, for example, I switch from camera to onboard camera, and then I switch to the follow camera. So you have to adjust this layer track here to do that. Then I also have imported the different locators I have in my animation for the gun left, the right left, the starting point of the laser beam, the end point of the laser beam, the position where the laser beam intersect the surface of the star, the location of the target. In the middle of the tranche of the Death Star, there is a target, the spaceship, and also the Modo channels, and you will see later what it is exactly. And then I composite on top of this my HUDs, this, and this, and this one. Okay, and the target. And everything, as you can see, is driven automatically. I don't have to change my animation and follow stuff. And this is mainly the interesting, I think. So back to Modo. So I'm computing, for example, the intersection. Let me show you that here and remove this. So I have this basic setup for intersecting the right gun and the left gun with the surface of the Death Star. So it's the basic intersect operation. This logical operator is just for setting up the distance of the targets if the ray doesn't intersect any surface. For example, here, when you get out of the trench, you see here, it doesn't intersect nothing. So I want to fix this locator at a certain distance, which is, as you can see, 300 meters here. Just because if I want to shoot my laser beams and there is no interaction, if I don't do that, I will not have any length to drive the laser beam in After Effects. What else do we have? The path constraints for the spaceship to follow the curve. And basically, that's all. So how do we use this After Effects kit now? In fact, it's really easy. For example, if you see there, I have these 2 locators, this one and this one, that mainly are these 2 shapes here that are driven by the intersection. And I want to get them into Modo. So I just select both of them and go to Kit, After Effects AO, and then I add the selected items to After Effects IO group. If you go to group, you will see that there is an After Effects FX IO group that contains all the items and the channels, and this is something very interesting, but mostly the items that I need inside of After Effects. So we have the gun right, gun left, which are the starting point of the laser beam. We have the impact right and left, which are the end point of the laser beams. We have the cameras, all the camera, follow camera, and onboard camera. We have the target, which is the stuff in the middle of the Death Star that the spaceship is targeting. And we have the spaceship, which is there. Okay? So once you have selected all these items, you can export them to After Effects. But I am adding a channel, in fact 2 channels, the distance to target, which is computed here, and it's computed by the measure distance here, node, and the distance is outputted into a custom channel that you can find user channel here, which is the distance to target. This one is another one that maybe I will speak later, but I don't want to do something more too complex. So basically, this is all the items and the channels I'm exporting to After Effects. So once you've done this, you go to Kit, After Effects IO, Export to After Effects. And this is very simple. You generally have this message, but it's not important. You can ignore it. Do you wish to continue? Yes. So here you have to specify the file name and the location you want to give to your animation. So in my case, desktop briefing. So it's based on this file, desktop04.lxo. Generally, I give the same name to the animation file, the Modo file. And then you have the choice between JSON and XML. I generally use XML because I think it is faster. Because back on the time, I remember when I tried to, I not only tried because it worked, to improve the speed of the importing step in After Effects. I found that it was more efficient and faster than the JSON one that was only script based, so it was very longer. So then when I send my code to Green Reddick, developer of Luxology at this time, I think that he applied all my changes also to the JSON. So basically, I think now the JSON and XML are both the same. But I still use XML because I think it's more easy to read, and just save it. So I replace the old one. You choose the file name, the first frame, the last frame, and the scene scale. So I have 175 frames. The scene scale is 100. This is basically to describe the way you will get the scale of your locators in After Effects. So if it's a large scene or a small scene, you can just adjust the scene scale to get your locators not too big or not too small if you want to operate them. For instance, I will keep like this. I don't know exactly what it gives. And then you click OK. I will just click cancel and get now to the code. So this is the data that is exported from Modo. It's basically an XML file where you can find all the items that are exported. So we have the gun right, gun left, impact gun right, impact gun left, camera, target, the spaceship, the follow, the onboard cam, and the item that is not a regular item, that is only a support for the channel that I exported, and the channel that I exported is distance to target. So inside each item, you have position, rotation, and scale. If you change the scale, it's not my case. On the gun left, gun right, it's the same thing, position, rotation. If you choose the impact of the guns, it's the same thing, position, and rotation. And for position, for example, you have all the different positions of the object on Y, X, Z. And if you expand this, you have all the keyframes, the channel of the item you exported. And then here, the times, it's a big table that for each coordinate XYZ specify the time to apply it in the timeline. This was something that I optimized because back in the day it was exporting everything, even if the value of the channel is not changing, it was exported. So it was a waste of time when importing in After Effects because there is a lot of value that was written and read and written many, many times without changing the values. So this is one of the optimization, for example. And so let's continue with the camera. The camera, you have position, rotation, the zoom of the camera, then different locators, at least target. It's a point that doesn't move. There is only one location because the target is not moving. The spaceship, it's moving, position, rotation. The other camera has the same thing. And it's not zooming, so there is only one value. Even for the other camera here, I think the zoom is not animated, or there is only one value, etc., etc. So once you have exported this file, I jump to After Effects, and I can show you on maybe a new scene. This is an empty scene. When you import the file, so I show you how to do that. Once you have installed all the scripts. There is one script for Modo and one script for After Effects. You can launch here the script. So you have to execute the script that is located, in my case, in the library application support, Luxology, Kit, After Effects, etc., Modo JFX bin. But you can drop this file into your script folder for After Effects, and maybe it will be listed something directly here. I don't do that because I'm lazy. So just launch this script. And first of all, you have this requester where you can choose to open the file. In my case, it's this one. So open. Then once you open the file, it's just parsed out by the script, and you can see all the items and channels you can use from this file. So you can select only one or two if you just need them, and then you import. When imported, it just creates one layer per item you imported. So for example, you have the camera, onboard camera, follow the Modo channels. In the case of the channels, it's very specific because the value that is exported from Modo is stored in an effect when you can have some kind of a slider cursor that drives the value. So you can see here the value is moving. If I change the timeline, you have the distance to target that has been computed by Modo, and then you can export and retrieve here. And that's very convenient. You will see in a few minutes, I believe. I don't expect for hours. Then you have the spaceship. It's just a locator, you see, and the locator is positioned inside the frame of the camera because of the coordinate of the camera. Okay, impact gun, gun left, gun right, everything. Now, if you import this on top of your basic animation, so if you import this on top, this is the footage I've rendered from Modo. Let me remove this. So we have the camera. You have, unfortunately, there is no way to get the camera name. There is only a camera ID that you can export, but there is no way to do the relation with the camera names here that are also the name of the layers. So it's not possible to automatically cut from one camera to the other. So you have to be careful of the frame where it cuts, like this one. And then originally the layer is cut like this. So you have to adjust it manually. But if you don't have to render every 5 minutes your files, or every day, once it's set up, you don't have to move it. Because if you re-import the data from Modo, if you change some stuff, the updates will replace the older value, but you will not have to reset up everything each time. So first of all, we want to add the laser beam. So to do this, let's unhide this effect. Basically, it's a black solid on top of which I add two effects. The name is beam for it. And you have a starting point, ending point, the length of the beam, and the cadence. I don't know the English name for cadence, but basically it's if you look there, it's the position between the starting point and the ending point. Okay, so you have to animate it manually, or maybe if you can find a way to drive this value directly from Modo with a custom channel or something you are able to compute, it could be also driven. The beam is only in 2D, so you have to convert the 3D position to the 2D position inside the comp space. And for this, there is basically formulas that are available in the here AE scripting doc from Adobe. And you can find everything related to scripting in After Effects. So basically what it does, it converts the 3D position that is taken from the layer gun right position. the 2D space of the composition. And this is done for the starting point and the ending point. Okay? Then this is the key animation of the cadence. I mean the displacement of the beam from the start position to the end position. And this is done for both laser beam. Then I add explosions. It's just a standard After Effects particle. I know there is some more effective particle system for After Effects, but I didn't buy one. I bought one a long time ago, but my license is not activated anymore, so I replaced it with the basic particle effects. And here you can see that the explosions are driven by something I animate. It's just to lower down the floor where the particles are emitted. But basically, the burst rate, the emission of the particles, is driven by this expression, which takes the cadence effect from the laser beam here. So I can just drag it from there. And depending on the cadence, if it's more or equal to 75, so I activate the burst of the particles. If not, it's just 0. So it's a way for me to activate or not when the laser hits and not before. So you can see when my laser beam travels along his path and when the value of its position along this path is bigger than 75, then the explosion starts displaying and the particles are emitted. So same thing for smoke. I added some smoke. It's very visible, but it's not great cinema effects, but this is not the point here. So the particles and the smoke are driven by the laser beam. The laser beam are driven by the values and the position we get from Modo. Then I have this HUD stuff. So first of all, the HUD is this surface, and here we have two spots that are supposed to show the target point depending on the surface. You can see that on this part of the animation, it's slightly moving. So it's supposed to represent on the location where the laser beam will hit the surface. And of course, this is also driven by, not this one, this one. There is two shape, this one and this one, that have the same stroke, same background, and their position here. The position is also driven by the impact gun left position, more or less. Then I have this one, the target distance. And this is the point where I feel that this kit is very interesting because you can output, in my case, I'm outputting the distance to illustrate the purpose, but you can export a color, you can export anything and use it the way you want in After Effects. And it's very, very particular when you are doing some motion design stuff. Imagine you have to animate a pie chart and you want the value of the pie chart to be driven by something you have in Modo, some information you have in Modo, but not in After Effects. It's better to take the value from Modo, export it through a custom channel, export it with the kit, and just get it back to your animation. Like, for example, the source of the text that is displayed here is done with this expression: distance, parse float, discount player, Modo channel, effect, MC wing distance at the name here. You know, you're in this Modo channel, you're in effects. The effect I want to get back is the one I call distance to target, and the cursor I want to get in this one. So this is the internal path, object path, that allows you to retrieve this value and convert it to a float. And then the output value is the basic value. In my case, it's target dist and return. And then I add the distance to fix plus the M to finally write the distance in meter. And as you can see, if I get closer to the target, which is something about there. I have moved closer to the target. The value is decreasing, and I don't have to figure out if I change something. I don't have to retype the values, and if the speed of the spaceship varies in time, it's something that is just not possible to key out. Even if you can do it, if you go back to Modo and change a little bit, I don't know, the curve trajectory here, if you do something like this and change it like this, the value will change and you will have to change it. Of course, I don't think that in Star Wars they really care about the distance between their target. And in a movie, it's not very important if it's more or less 10 meters. But for motion design, this can be very interesting. And this is almost everything I have to say about this. So if you have to change something, if you go to Modo and you change like something like the target position, for example, you will have different values. You just have to export it, re-import it in After Effects, and the value will be directly driven by the value you exported. So I think this is very convenient, and there is a lot of case, and mostly I think in motion design, where this can be very useful. Well, that's all. I hope this was useful to you, and thank you very much for listening and watching. Bye bye.
Yum, yum!